All right, I got my coffee. It's a beautiful morning, and it's a beautiful time to talk about Dallas Card Fest results for the Gundam card game. Take a sip of this first. uh, Brewing coffee became a pandemic hobby of mine, and it's only grown since then. I love my coffee, but yeah, I also love my Gundam TCG, and we had our first big offline regional this last weekend in Dallas at Bandai Card Game Fest, and the results were very interesting. Shout out to Eggman for again always having the website that has all the information up there really fast. Him and Chippy do a great job of making everything function very well over there. So I've got their link in the description, so definitely go check out that website if you're looking to build decks or see what decks are doing well. Like, that is the place you need to go. He doesn't sponsor me or anything like that. I just use his site a lot, and I think it's great, and so I think you should use it too if you're not already. So let's dive into it. We've got out of the top 32, and what I thought I would do is I would take a specific look at the top 8 deck lists, but then also take a broad look at the top 32 first and kind of compare that with what I said in my last video. So basically, going into CardFest, I had said that the green-white Wing Zero deck was going to be the most represented. And in the top 32, at least, I don't have data for the tournament overall, I believe. We had 768 players, which is pretty awesome. But out of the top 32, we did have 9. So it was only one less than the highest represented deck, which was green-blue aggro, the Xeon aggro list, or some people call it the 1 Year War aggro list. And so I that was interesting to me. And I would love to take a look at the tournament overall. Now, going back on it, having walked the show floor, just kind of checked out the tables during the tournament, I've got a feeling that aggro was the most represented archetype. And so I think that was probably for a couple reasons. One is that the deck is fairly approachable, easy to pilot, and can seriously just run over anything. I think another thing that might have contributed to it is honestly product availability. I still don't have 4-wing zeros. I could just go buy them, but I'm kind of OG and I like to trade for it and stuff like that. But I think if you are the average card game player that doesn't have a ton of money, that doesn't have a ton of access to the product, you probably don't have, the Wing Zeros, the Death Sides to play the deck yet. So I do think that honestly probably hurt representation a little bit too. It's just simply product availability. I think that's going to be a factor that goes away over time. But I do think for this tournament, it may have had a little bit of an impact. But beyond that, we had 6 blue-red cyber new type, and then it kind of went down from there. Some Federation tempo, some freedom blockers, some Earth Federation aggro, all that kind of good stuff, right? Only 1 unicorn blocker, which I'm a little bit surprised about. I thought there'd be a little bit more unicorn blocker, unicorn tempo represented in the top 32. I think it's just a really good list. But I think, again, the propensity of aggro to just be able to run everything over kind of had a factor there. But we also had a lot of really good players. So that's basically kind of a breakdown of the top 32. Again, I'm a little bit surprised that we had less Wing Zero than others. But, again, I think aggro is something a lot of people impact you. Also, there was recent results from the big tournaments in Japan that showed aggro doing better than all the other archetypes. So I do wonder if some of the very competitive players were looking at that and saying, all right, well, that's what worked over there, so that's what I'm going to try here. I wonder if that maybe had a little bit of an impact too. It's impossible to say for sure, but those are the possibilities that I present to you for the reasons for that. Otherwise, Cyber New Type, I did think that would be one that would be a little bit more represented. And it was third, which is kind of what I expected there. But let's jump into some actual lists. So this is going to be, we're going to go to first Joe Hill's first place Xeon aggro list. Here it is. And, we're going to see a couple different aggro lists, and they're all going to be relatively the same. The thing that stands out in this one is the one Char's Gelgoog. I do really like this card in general. It's level 4 cost, and a lot of times you'll see something be like 1 cost cheaper than the level because they want to make room for you to pay 1 to play the pilot on it, because all the pilot cards cost 1. But this one does have the interesting sort of aspect to it that you can grab a pilot out of your trash and put it on Char's Gelgoog. So you can grab that Char back again. So it's kind of like giving you a 5th Char in the deck, and that 5th little opportunity to get that high maneuver, right? Because remember that the Char pilot, if it's a link unit, the unit gains high maneuver during the attack. So just kind of one last way to get that finishing blow. And it doesn't really take away from the consistency of the list. So I really love the single Char's Gelgoog in there. I think maybe they cut like a Show of Resolve or something like that. I think that's totally worth it because we've got Force of Everything. Maybe they cut a Gym, which is also fine because you've got so many other 1-cost things. Moving on to second place, we have Michael with the Cyber New Type list. I said this on the broadcast, but I casted this event, by the way, too. If you want to go to their YouTube channel, you can see that. I said this on the broadcast too, but it was exciting to see Michael there because when I hosted the Gundam card game world premiere event in Houston last year, seems like forever ago, his father was a retired astronaut that came to speak to everyone because, it'd just be cool to have someone who'd actually been to space, talk to people about space when you've got this like space related card game. But he brought his son along. His son's name was Michael. And Michael was into the game, into the idea of the game at least, and into Gundam the series. And now here he is, second place in the biggest tournament we ever had in North America. So what a story there. Really seems to be pretty good at the game after all. Pretty neat to see. But anyway, here's his Cyber New type list. Pretty standard stuff, honestly. I think the gun cannon is something you see sometimes, you don't see sometimes, but the double rest is really nice to have, so I do like the inclusion there. Other than that, pretty stock and standard Cyber New type, but this list is one of the lists I feel has the fewest variations in the card game because it's just so good and so flexible as it is. Again, like I think this is my favorite list overall in the game right now because you do have a lot of very interesting flexible lines of play. And so because you can be so flexible with your decision making, with where you put the pings, all that stuff, you don't need to be as techie with what cards you include, don't include. So I do really like this list, and obviously it performed well. He took it all the way to second place. So congrats to Michael there. In third, or in our top four list, this isn't necessarily third, fourth, all that, but in our top four, we had Justice blockers. And remember, there were only 2 blocker lists that actually made the top 32. So one of them getting all the way to top 4. And interestingly enough, it's red-white, right? A lot of people have been talking about blue-white being the blocker list, right? Because you get, again, access to the RX-78-2 and all that for the resting. Amuro is great, but I've always been a big fan of red. I use red in my breach list, of course, for this reason. And the biggest reason I use it is because of this combo right here, Atherin Zala, which says, when paired, if this is a link unit, during this turn it may choose an active enemy unit that is level 5 or lower and attack its target. And you have good old Aegis Gundam GAT X303 MA mode. And the great thing about this one is it has Breach 3. So you get to attack into something that is active. You get it hit it for 4, which takes out a lot of early stuff because remember, this is a level 4 combo. And it's just a really, really good combination of cards. You also can put them, of course, on the Justice Gundam. That's going to be the top end. And while Justice Gundam doesn't have blocker itself, it does produce that 2/2 chump blocker. So that can be a really useful late game thing, just to kind of throw a roadblock in front of your opponent. I do like the red lists that go heavier on Justice and lower on Freedom. The 2 blocker lists, one goes heavy Freedom, low Justice, one goes heavy Justice, low Freedom, which sounds like a philosophy, but we're actually just talking about the cards that it's included. I did think this was interesting, including one Gundam Aerial Permit Score 6. I think this card is okay. I think this is a thoroughly okay card. That said, I really prefer to run like 2 Gundam Aerial rebuilds just to be able to bring back some of the command cards, especially to bring back something like Unforeseen Incident. This card is absolutely an all-star right now. It feels like people never expect the -3 AP, right? It messes up so many people's turns. Only running 1 striker pack is kind of interesting too, in favor of running the 3 close combats. So a little bit heavier on the ping here. That's reinforced by running 2 Relula as well to do 1 ping when it comes out. So this is a very cool take on the red-white blockers list. I like it a lot, and it was piloted very well, and it got all the way to top 4. Pretty neat. So congrats to TRXZ. Now, DG7 with another Xeon aggro list. Here it is. And again, this is kind of like the stock Xeon aggro list. And I would say, like, if you're looking for a list to get into the game with, if you're kind of thinking about playing Gundam card game, well, first of all, props to you for being so hardcore that you're watching a tournament results video before you're even into the game. That's amazing. But number 2 is this is the deck you want to build because it's very good. It's very inexpensive. You just need a couple starters, and you need like a couple of these cards. Well, these come in the starters actually. Some of these from the set, the Shard Zaku 2. So it's really easy to put together. So this is a great list. You can see the difference between this and the number 1 list. No Shards Gelgoog, but we do have 4 gyms. So that's probably what was cut, I think, in the number 1 list. Yeah, they cut 1 gym. Okay. So there you go. I think it's worth it. I think you should include a Gelgoog, but this is obviously a perfectly fine way to run it too. All right, moving on to Eric. Eric with a C, with another Xeon aggro list. This is it right here. Again, same list we just looked at. it's just really good. It's just a really good aggro list. What can you say, right? You've got all the pinging that you get from the gun tanks and the Ankshas. You've got the Rikdom presenting some breach threat. You've got the 8 Zaku 2s. And the Zaku's, how this deck kind of functions is you've got this one that produces a token, so essentially it replaces itself. And this one, when it dies, lets you search your deck and find another unit. Very important to note, it does not find pilots. It says, as you can see, one Xeon/Neo Xeon unit card. We did have someone on stream try to grab a Char pilot with it, which was a little bit fishy, and that was a strange moment. But because if you're playing this deck, you should know. But so it replaces itself essentially again. That kind of makes up for a lack of draw, although we do have 2 Show of Resolves, and then you've got the Corsica base as well to make another unit. So just go wide, hit face. And it'll teach you good fundamentals too, because there will be times where you have units out there, but you don't necessarily want to attack, right? So that is good. Moving on to another Xeon aggro list in the top 8. I told you we're going to see a lot of them. Same list. All right. Congrats to Blood Titan. And then finally, we have the Cyber New Type list. Again, this one is slightly different. You can see there's no gun cannon here. Which is a tech option that some people choose to use as a secondary target to link with Amuro. You can see this deck has chosen to use the Gundam instead. Just the vanilla Amuro Ray Link Gundam with the 3/4 stat line here. It's, you can kind of make the choice. Let's go back and look at the other list. So we have the option between this, the gun cannon, which is a little bit weaker on stats, but it does have Repair 1, and it does have choose one enemy unit with 3 or less HP, rested. So many times when you pair or link Amuro with it, because again, he's white-based team, so he does link with it actually, you get to rest 2 things a lot of times. So you've got that. Let's see. Yeah, so it's good. So you've got the option here. I kind of like the gun cannon a little bit better just because this one, although you get a little bit more stats, you still have the link. I would rather get the extra effect instead of the extra numbers, if that makes sense in this case. So that's kind of the big difference there. And then finally, we have in our top 8, rounding out the top 8, our only Wing Zero list to make top 8. And this is the version that I was saying in my other video I liked a little bit better. You've got the version that runs the Gundam Bird mode and ramps just really hardcore. I feel like that one is a little bit more vulnerable to being run over, and wouldn't you know it, in a tournament filled with aggro lists, we don't see any of those in the top 8. We do see this one, though, that's a little bit more stable, right? You've got the blockers at the beginning, which both lists tend to have, but then you've got things like Sword Strike Gundam, which again is very popular these days. I was talking about it on the last video, just to be able to bounce something back to the hand. You've got the Earth Alliance Link, which works with the Kira Yamato. And then you've got the Ailstrike Gundam as well. So a little bit more of a mid-rangey blocker package. Again, this is another thing that bounces, and then when it attacks into something, it can kill something without taking a lot of damage back, generally because the Kira Yamato link does minus AP2 to whatever it's attacking into that turn. Aside from that, pretty standard stuff. We do have the one big blocker here, the one Freedom Gundam. I think that's kind of optional. He opted to go for a 1 Freedom Gundam and then 3 Wing Gundams. And interestingly enough, only 2 Hero Yui I thought was kind of fascinating too with this list as well. I guess if you're running only 3, yeah, I mean, because you're not really trying to pair it with the Wing Zero. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this actually. And this is another Kira link, so you've got 3 things that link with Kira. That's fine. Unforeseen Incident, 3 Striker packs. Okay, so a lot of the blocking does come through the Striker packs in this list. And then you've got Unforeseen Incident at 3 of as well. So, yeah, I think this is a really good version of the deck. Obviously, it is because it made it, all the way to top 8 in a 700-something player tournament. But I really like how mid-rangey this list trends, where you're really just trying to present a little bit of threat in the mid-game with some of these, which you absolutely can. And then you've got just a plethora of options for putting out some of these kind of like smaller to mid-tier blocker units, either tokens or units themselves that just, again, make it harder for your opponent to get through and set up a really good Wing Zero play, right? And with 4 of these in there, you're going to, usually see at least 2 per game. So that's where the deck gets really scary. So I do like that. Going through the rest of the list here, you can see outside of the top 8, we start to see more Wing Zero pop up. Like we got this one from Lightim. Let's take a look at that really quick here. Yeah, so this is going to be a similar list to what we just saw. The difference is that there's no Freedom Gundam or anything like that. We've got one less Wing Zero. We've got more Hero, so this is more based around getting some value out of the Wing Gundam as well. So just little slightly different takes on that. We've got an Earth Federation aggro list from Buck Fudder. Wonderful name there. Thank you for that. And then this is kind of an alternate take on the green-blue aggro. Props to them for putting the Shenlong Gundam in, though. I love Shenlong Gundam. Check it out. Chang Wu-Fei is just a great card. During your turn, if this unit has breach, it can't receive battle damage from enemy units with 3 or less AP. So many times you can play this Shenlong on curve with the Chang Wu-Fei pilot and get some really nice value out of it, and breach for 3 into their base, which is awesome. Siege play as well. So this one's really running a lot of tricks and things in it, right? Resting blockers here with Nahal Argama. Siege play for resting things. So this deck is tricky, but I feel like it has a little bit too much trickiness and not enough like punch, you know? I think this is a good list, but I definitely don't think it's as good as the other Xeon aggro lists, just objectively, right? More cyber new types, things like that. Strike tempo in the top 32, which was kind of interesting to see. This is more just kind of a mid-rangey version of the Freedom Blockers kind of list, but we just never get to like the Freedom and Justice Gundams. We just have like all the good mid-range stuff, right? We've got your generic Gundams, we've got the Ankshas, we've got the RX-78-2, the Sword Strike, we've got the Ale Strike, and then we've just got some tricks to kind of support that. Lots of drawing as well. So I think this list is, again, okay. And if you love it, go ahead and play it. A couple of those made it through. Unicorn Blockers all the way down in top 32. We know what that's all about. And that kind of rounds up the top 32. So, yeah, I mean, the meta ended up, and it is a set 1 meta, so it is fairly predictable in that regard. But it ended up being roughly what we expected. More aggro than I thought there was going to be, but, you know, that's not necessarily super shocking. All in all, I think really good representation for variety in a set 1 meta. Again, I said this on broadcast. I think this game has a great set 1 meta. It's really impressive, actually. And now with the new starter deck coming this week and with the new expansion coming soon, the game is just going to get bigger and more varied as far as lists go. So I'm very excited for the future of the game. The tournament was a lot of fun to cast. Like, subscribe, obviously, if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Hey, thanks for sticking around. It's me again. I've been working with Into the AM because I think they're awesome. I love their clothes, and they've got a big sale going on right now. So I thought I'd check it out real quick here. I do have the all-day pants. These are extremely comfortable. Highly recommend. And because there's a sale on, you can get them for cheaper. Ship in a bottle. I love it. I have this graphic on one of my shirts, but I don't have it in that kind of tank style because I have no muscles. I just love their graphics. I don't know. And they're not AI. They're drawn by real people using real styluses on real tablets, which is great. So I love the support for just good, cool art. They're shirts that I feel like I can wear and not feel like I'm being too immature or something like that. Not that I worry about that too much, but yeah, the is there. And the important thing right now is that all the stuff that you're seeing is on sale, and you can get another 10% off if you use my code GGDOA. There's a link in the description. So go ahead and go check it out. If you're looking for some good quality clothes with great graphics, I got that sentence out just barely. Into the AM is a place to go check out, and they've got a big sale going on. So go see it. Go see it. Thanks again for watching.